So the 3 pillars of safety wellness, first of all, is an educational program, because without knowledge, you aren't able to adequately protect yourself. Then the second pillar is products such as the bodyguard here. You've got to have the ability to defend yourself. Now, defending yourself comes in various levels. First, you want to use a personal defense weapon, and then you want, as a last resort, to use yourself as a weapon. Then when it comes to getting assistance, this is where the third pillar of prevention comes in, because there you're limiting the damage, the consequences of any crime, and that's obviously where the services of people like Aura come into the picture. Now, on the fear of crime aspect, the psychologist Professor Jonathan Jackson of the London School of Economics identified 3 components to the vulnerability to the fear of crime. And they are the likelihood of an event, the control over the event, and the consequence of the event. So again, safety wellness, the way it's been set up, not only prevents crime victimization, but it also addresses those 3 components to the vulnerability of the fear of crime. So effectively, by one holistic service, you are looking at dealing with the fear of crime aspect, the vulnerability to the fear of crime, and then also you're looking at preventing crime victimization, because when it comes to risk mitigation requires proactive action or proactivity. Reactive, which is necessary, but it's always damage limitation, whether that be counseling services, whether that be response services, whether that is you defending yourself. That is a damage limitation exercise, and you want to prevent that in the first place, and it is preventable in most cases. We say most cases because nothing's ever guaranteed, because it's always down to the individual. And sometimes your attention might not be where it needs to be, and you can become victimized. But if you look at the overall process, how many people here in the room drive? Virtually everyone? Everyone drives? If I told you it's the same process, but you change the focus when you need to, and it's as simple as that. And that's safety wellness.
And I can see everyone in the room going, not. So it's a question I had later, but let me just ask it to you now, is can people be educated enough that they do not become a victim of crime?
Yes, you can, a simple answer. So what I have done with my years in the military, involved in covert operations, in executive protection, what I did is I analyzed that and I broke it down into its very simplistic level and it's simplistic base, and that's why I can say to you it's the same process as driving. So if you can drive a car, or even shopping for you ladies, okay, the process is the same, and it's basically a 3-step process. You got to detect the threat, you got to decide what you are going to do about the threat, and then you're going to do it. So in the shopping context, because I see there's more ladies in the room than men, so in the shopping context, you're window shopping, so you're looking at detecting, any specials, then you see something on special, and then you're going to decide, am I going to buy it or not, and then you do it, and that obviously there's the threat to your wallet, not necessarily your safety. But that's the process. But the devil's in the detail, and that's what we give people. So for example, when you need to detect something, what is it you need to look for? You always hear people say, you've got to be aware. Yes, you have to be aware. Aware of what? We tell you what to be aware of. Then we also tell you that, and here's the problem with criminals, you don't know if they're a criminal until they strike. So you need to look then at taking an action to detect the intent. So your action evokes a reaction, then there is intent. So now you know, and you then continue with actions to maintain control. Again, going back to the fear of crime component, you're controlling the event then. You're not sitting there going, oh God, now the criminal's got a gun to my head. He's in control. If I'm working as a bodyguard, I can do a draw of a firearm in under a second, left or right-handed, which is considered expert in any measure. But if somebody's got a gun to my head, how long does it take them to pull that trigger? Who's going to win that gunfight? I don't want to get into the situation. And that's what I've used in my professional career. In my professional career, I've protected threats against high-risk individuals from high threats. I'm talking ex-CCB apartheid assassins. Stopped. CIT, cell phone, without even an attack, not even an attempt, because of operating proactively. And that is what we teach people in safety wellness, is to be proactive as much as you can. And again, it's a question of getting into a functional competency. The more you do something, the better you become at it. The beauty about what we teach people with the safety wellness from the proactive, preventative side is every time you go out, you can practice it. And you should practice it. And that is what will enable you to stay safe. But then you mustn't also, at the same time, we recognize you've got small kids, you've got babies, you've got a life. You can be distracted. So then you need the other mechanisms, such as the Brolly Guard, such as the Aura Services, or such as Mark here, who from Empowered, who actually teaches ladies how to protect themselves in the event of an incident. You have to have the whole package, because if you have one or the other, you're not completely covered.
And I think that's why we put safety wellness forward as a holistic solution. What we also do, because it's a wellness-focused offering, is we include things like mindfulness, breath work. Because when you're going to be in a very high-stress environment, you need to know how to keep your head. You need to make quality decisions and not let adrenaline take over, which drains everything from your brain and puts it into your muscles so that you can run.
But also on that, awareness is mindfulness. Your awareness of your environment is being mindful, being present in the moment.
So I'm going to come to Nived now. What Russell always highlights, though, is that safety wellness is almost the foundation, because unless you can see a threat coming, you don't have time to get to your app to call for help. And that's why safety wellness is so based in proactivity, heightened awareness. Whenever you are outside of your home environment or in a place where you may not be safe, it really is necessary for you to kind of switch that on. Because you can't say to a criminal, can you just give me a minute? I'm just going to find my phone, or I'm just going to get my pepper spray so that I can spray you. So let's come to Nived and just talk us through the kind of workings of the Aura app and how it helps.
I think this is where Russell and I initially met, and where we identified how our product kind of aligned perfectly together, where if you are aware enough, I think that's something we all have to accept, that we are in South Africa, and we do have to accept that that's, there is a level of crime. But what also comes with that is, when you have these tools, these are sort of empowerment tools. It doesn't mean that you're going to sit at home and kind of be on guard and not go anywhere. You're going to go out and carry on with your life, but what you have is, you have the ability to use these tools to your advantage. Mm-hmm. And, it's something small, but for example, one of our campaigns with a large corporate, we went out to one of their offices. They've got probably about 2,000 people in that office. And lunchtime, we're giving out free popcorn. And you get the popcorn if you can show us, do you have the app on your phone? Do you know how to use it? Because when you're in that situation, you need to be the one to say, I know what to do. And I think that's the important thing. You have these tools, but do you know how to use it? An interesting factor that we've picked up is quite a lot of our emergencies happen when someone is panicking on behalf of someone else. I've seen something in my neighbor's yard. I've seen a delivery driver just get knocked over. You have the tools. You might not even need it for yourself, but you can be the person who knows what to do in those situations. And that's when we come to this realization that there are these tools out there. We should accept that crime's an issue, and we should familiarize ourselves in how do we use this? How do we become familiar with this? And when we're in these situations, we know what to do. If a tool that we've developed quite recently, when you have these, you have these sort of follow me home services, you finish up at a restaurant quite late, you have someone that can drive behind you on the way home. Great. We've come up with something where it's a kind of follow me home service, but over the phone. Primarily targeted at students who have to walk back after an exam or back to the res late at night. It's not there's no direct threat, But maybe you just want someone to be on the phone with you. And that's where we come in. So our controller can just be on the phone with you. Okay, you're walking home, the controller can be with you. Just make sure when you're walking, you are observant. If anything happens, I've got your location, I'm tracking you. Just stay on the line with me until I get home. I get home, great. If you had to do the same thing with, let's say, your parent's on the line with you, if something happens, what is your parent going to do? They're going to have an absolute nightmare. They won't know what to do. They don't know how to get help to you. This way, you've got someone, you haven't kind of removed a security resource and have them standing with you. You've just got someone on the phone with you. They know exactly where you are. It costs minimal, just a few cents, for a phone call. And if something does happen, that person can get you help.
Yeah.
I think this is where we have to come to this realization that we have tools. Let's see how we can integrate them into our lives.